Back in the mid-1940s, early 1940s, I was a wee toddler, playing round the back garden in my granny's wee cottage, which was in Auchenshugel. You probably, many of you might think that that's just a variety house name, but Auchenshugel for us did exist, and I think we used to even put it on our mail as our official address. 2021 London Road, Auchenshugel. And a wee toddler I was at that time, of course, born in 1941, and I remember my mother telling me that we were, well, she didn't tell me, I was too wee, but I remember her telling me later on, sharing with the family at the time, of the danger that existed, because we were quite near Colville's Iron and Steel Works, which maybe many of you will remember. And of course that would be a sure target for German planes, of course, and they were all watching and running into the shelter, as we did, of course. I wouldn't remember, but they'd be carrying me in, I suppose, into the shelter. And I remember my mother saying in later life, we were all put to shame for our fears about the odd bomb that would drop. I don't think the Germans managed to hit Colville's, as far as I know, they didn't. But we were put to shame a wee bit, of course, us ones in the East End, when we got to hear the terrible news about Clydebank and the Blitz, of course. And Dalmuir West was a place well known to us because it was on the tram car. Do you remember that, the number 9? It ran from one end of the city to the other. And how lucky we were to be at the Auchenshugel end and not at the Dalmuir West end, I'm thinking today, my dear brothers and sisters. I'm sharing this wee bit of history with you, just to help us all, if you needed any help, to identify with what we're here for today, how we're celebrating our survival, how we're celebrating our life, and how, because of what so many of you have done, people here present, even in the church, because you did this, we are all here. In fact, the Germans hit this very site with an incendiary bomb in 1944, so just right where you're sitting, more or less, was the bit, but I hope they don't come back certainly right now. The church, of course, was destroyed, and this new, I hope you would say, beautiful building has been erected in place of the old church. It's just to give us all a wee sense, as I say, of us being in the right spot at the right time to remember, to pray, to celebrate the veterans, and I know also, of course, it's been the thing to remember the present armed forces too today. I know that we are commemorating in a very, very special way those of our brothers and sisters who went to their eternal rest, who were fallen, and we remember them so dramatically on Remembrance Day. But today it might be good for us to think about all of us here, so many of us here in the church, veterans, armed members of the armed forces who have gathered here today as well, to celebrate life, because it's about life that Jesus was talking about always in the Gospel, the fullness of life that he preached. We can know, even from those of us who are a bit younger, like myself, it's great to feel a wee bit younger in front of a congregation, by the way. But it's great to hear the stories, especially for a clergyman and for our clergy women here today too. I don't know how old they are, so I don't know how well we'll remember what happened in the past. I better be careful. But it's good for us to remember how in those days there was a great sense of solidarity, and how you might have thought people would say, amidst all this terrifying experience of those of us at home while our brothers and sisters were fighting on the front, how we might have thought to ourselves, the Lord God doesn't seem to be looking after us. We might even be tempted, they may have been even tempted to think maybe the Lord is not there at all. But as I say, the folklore, the stories that we hear, is that people actually ran to God and prayed to God to save them. And that people not only bonded with the Lord, but they bonded in an incredible way with one another. Both the soldiers in the front, of course, and the people at home. They looked after one another. They served one another. They bonded together. And I'm told that people had very little time for sectarianism or religious differences. We were all in this together. And that's what Jesus is saying in the Gospel. He's saying to the disciples who want to be in charge, you have to look after each other. St. Luke tells us that they started to fight about who was going to be the boss on the occasion of the Last Supper. Jesus had just been sharing the sacred bread and wine, the sign of his death and resurrection. And he had just washed their feet at the Last Supper. As soon as his back was turned, they were all into it to see who would be the boss in the new kingdom. And I would just like to reflect with you this afternoon how that connects, doesn't it, in some way with the root cause of so many wars, the greed for power. And so we can go back again to the 40s, we can go back to the Second World War again and recognise that no matter what mistakes, faults or failings there may have been on behalf of this country, we went in there to defend ourselves. And it was in that spirit that we bonded with the Lord, I would humbly suggest, and that we bonded with one another. And what was it all about? Well, let me say a wee word of apology to our cadets, because when I was introducing all the high Hegians this afternoon, I said, and right at the bottom of the line come the cadets. We should actually be putting the cadets. I don't know where they are now, maybe they're away out for a pint. I don't know. They were here early. Oh, I see them up there at the back. Sorry, young ladies and gentlemen. They are the ones whom we hand on this gift to. This gift that we all received in a very, very special way as a result of the bravery and the great things that happened in the past. And we know, of course, the problems that our young people have to face nowadays. And again, we return to the spirit of the Gospel. When Jesus said, I've come that you may have life. How would we understand what that means? What it means to think that Jesus is offering us the life in all its fullness. It's exactly what we have experienced in the past when things were so difficult. And it's exactly what we experience now in our appreciation. And that's why I say it's great to think of all of us, not to emphasise particularly today our fallen heroes and heroines, although we have to do that, but just in a very special way to celebrate our life this afternoon in this church. And for our young people to say that life has been literally passed on to us. It's been passed on to us because of the bravery of all those men and women. And I bless you all.